recording this interviews, multi-platform, different countries, and we have some
Yeah,
cameras. It's like a challenge,
yeah, I imagine. And how was the festival this year with the pandemic? How did you guys react to that? Was it?
Well, in September, it was almost canceled, right, Eva? I wasn't there.
Yeah,
Eva was there. Can you tell him a little bit, Eva? How was it? The thrill, the emotion that was to run the festival in last September?
last September it was perfect. It was a very nice day. What we spent together with all filmmakers, and we had very lucky because after a few days after festival, it will be lockdown here, and we hope that the next year it will be same, that
Yeah,
the situation will be better, better on some long time in Rome, and we hope that it will be possible meet together, and it will be another situation that now, and we
yeah,
enjoy
yeah.
it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything can happen so far. We are in March, and remembering about last March, today we are in a much worse situation than last March.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we are preparing, we are getting prepared for every option, whatever
Cool,
we need.
cool.
But the festival is going to happen either live or online. I
Yeah,
would
yeah, yeah.
love to have that happening in Prague, to meet you actually there in Prague, Patrick, and maybe,
Yeah, yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, we have to see the following months, but
yeah.
yeah, I'm glad, it worked out even online, but I guess a lot of festivals, all festivals had to kind of adapt, so
All right. Okay, so are we ready? Yes?
yes,
Okay,
let's do it.
Luma, zoom, camera.
And now I think it will be better when I switch off the video. Or
As you wish.
okay, I think that will be better, and after I will continue when you finish recording. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. You choose.
But I listen everything.
Please.
Okay. Bye bye.
Okay, see you in a while.
So
You're
you'll be
ready?
asking the
Sounds good.
questions, Alex?
Sorry, man.
Will you be asking the questions
Yeah,
or both of
yeah.
you?
I'm the interviewer. I'm going to chat
Cool,
here, have some fun talking about your movie.
cool,
Okay?
perfect.
All right, five, four, three, two, one. Hi, I am Alex Orlino, Program Director for the Prague International Indie Film Festival, and this is Peak of the Week number 4. Peak of the Week is our non-informal prize for some movies and films that we watch here and in a special way touch our hearts and our minds. It's not exactly the official prize, but we, when we watch the movie, we want to talk to the director and talk about this filmmaking. And today we selected Patrick Hanser for his film Pe, a very delicate and special piece of art from this so young filmmaker and student. Sorry about that, revealing your age. Hello, Patrick. Can you say your first words here for us?
Hi guys, nice seeing everyone. And my name is Patrick. I'm from São Paulo, Brazil. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here with you guys to talk. It's an honor for me. So let's do it. I'm very happy.
All right, let's do it. So, Pe, is that right? The pronunciation of the name of your film, Pe.
Yeah, yeah, it's P, P,
Okay,
exactly.
very, very subtle, very short name for such an intense film. And I know, of course, and I'm sharing some of your first about you. You were born in São Paulo, Brazil, but raised in Philadelphia, right? United States. where and you work here and there. Tell me a little bit about your life in this moment, Patrick,
Yeah,
please.
so I lived in Philadelphia, in Philly, for about 6 years when I was younger. So I was born in Brazil, and when I was 10, my family, my dad had a job and he got transferred to Philadelphia. So the whole family went. So I kind of spent my teenage years kind of in the suburbs of Philadelphia. And it was really cool for me because I got to learn English pretty well, and I just got to make a lot of friends and got to see a different culture. I think America is really different from Brazil in terms of how people interact, and just school was also very different. So it was a great experience. And then when I came back to Brazil when I was about 16 years old, uh, I started. I was really into film already. Like when I lived in Philly in the U.S., I used to make short films with my younger brothers. Just like home movies with my dad's camera, and we just like shoot a movie a day. And they wouldn't be like you know that great. They would just be us playing and stuff. And so when I got back to Brazil, I started making movies and I started taking it more seriously. And then this was one of the projects that I did more recently that actually has a lot to do with my brother, whose name is Kevin. So we kind of got to go back to those old days when we used to make little movies in the US, and then we made this movie in Brazil. But it talks a lot about that experience we had, as children.
Yeah, that's great, and that's the main um, column, the main factor in your film. Your younger brother, Kevin, that in the movie it's played by the amazing Mateus Guerra, together with the other actor Pedro, that
Yeah,
also
yeah. Actually, it's
the
the other way
opposite.
around.
Sorry.
Actually, Kevin is Pit, because when we were younger, Kevin has dyslexia, and when we were younger, I'm the older brother, right? So he was my little brother, and a lot of the times I'd be really insensitive to the way he saw the world, and the way he interacted with people, and the way like he did at school. Like I didn't really understand dyslexia and like the things he felt. So when I was young, I was the older character in the film, which is Lucas. Kind of mean and not very didn't have a lot of empathy for how he was feeling. So it was a really cool process actually, because when I decided to, like, this film was part of of my film school project. So it was my 6th semester film here in Sao Paulo, and we could write anything we wanted. And so I had this kind of idea to work with my brother, like talk about our childhood in a way, and together we wrote the story together. We kind of, we got to this point where we started kind of discussing how we related to each other, as kids, and like how I was mean in that way. It was kind of it was kind of like a therapy we did together. But it was really interesting because then we got to channel all those feelings and everything that came up into the short film script. And it was great because we kind of got to relive some things and reinterpret things, and kind of accept what happened, and also be able to build a relationship on top of that. So for me it's a really special film because apart from being, apart from the technical side and like shooting stuff and the cameras, and when you make a film, you're always really, you have all those things in mind. But on the other hand, it was also very, the themes of the movie and the fact that it was kind of about my brother, me and my brother's relationship, it made it really a really personal film. And it was just great to kind of make a movie with my brother again after such a long time. It was really cool.
Yeah, that make me great thing to be able to make a movie in this situation. And my question in this with this movie, with this film, did it help your relationship with your brother? Did you have any wounds, any, things to heal about your relationship, maybe personal guilt,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
writing this film?
yeah.
Say
It
something about
was
it.
it was a lot about that actually. And I think the film kind of course it's not it's not exactly a biographical film. Like that's not exactly what happened in, like, he didn't he my brother is still here, like we're great friends and stuff. It's not like in the movie where this is like a spoiler alert for people who haven't seen it. So if you haven't seen the film,
No
go
problem.
watch it and then come back.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's right.
but I guess this is a spoiler talk. So, uh, but yeah, like in the movie, Pin in the end, like it's an open ending. Like you don't know if he died, you don't know if he ran away, but he leaves. So
Hmm.
in a sense, the last shot of the film, which is Lucas cutting his own hair, which is something that he used to do with his brother, that's where the movie started. Because when we were kids, our father, he used to cut our hair, so we grew up cutting each other's hairs. Like I my dad would cut my hair, I would cut Kevin's hair. Like it was just a thing we did at home. So we kind of like, me and Kevin talked about that, and we really liked that image. Like, so the first two images that we built for the film were actually the first image of the film, which is Lucas cutting his hair, which is like this brotherly thing, and then the last one where it's Lucas alone cutting his own hair. So in the end, the movie, I think, symbolically, like visually, it ties into the concept that Lucas didn't pay attention to his brother's feelings. He made him go away, and that made him be alone in the end. So it's kind of, in a sense, there's this kind of moral tale background of guilt
Yeah,
where like Lucas has to like accept what he did and like live with that weight. So yeah, you talked about like healing, and I really believe that you can heal things and discuss things through film. So it was really cool because since I got to do this with my brother. We wrote it together. He doesn't work with film specifically, but he has great ideas. So I came with this more technical side of like actually writing the scripts and stuff, but the story and the concept we really built together. So it was really cool because yeah, we just had, along with the film process, we had this healing process of our own relationship. So that was
good.
pretty cool.
Yeah, great. Having a younger brother with dyslexia, um, can we can we consider that a special need, a person with a disability in your
I guess in a
sense?
way, it, that's a good question because the way I see it, like I'm no expert in this matter, so of course, like I think um the specifics I won't be able to talk about too much, but in terms of my relationship with my brother, the way I see it, and like we talk a lot about this even for the movie to build the character of Pe, is that it's not a disability. It's just a different way of viewing the world. So in the film we have this passage where Pe is drawing, and like we put the camera upside down. He's looking at things upside down, which in theory is like the wrong way to look at things. But we wanted to get into this subjective point of view of Pe, where like it's not wrong. It's how he sees the world, and it's how he reacts with it. And the thing about dyslexia, I think, in this case, is that in society today, education, like kids have to fit into a very let's say square mold of like what is acceptable or not. So like, for example, uh you're considered a good student if you're well versed, or if you're intelligent in like maths or like the languages like English or writing or whatever. But other types of intelligence, such as spatial intelligence or musical intelligence, or just like human relationship, like emotional intelligence, those things don't really count in our educational system. So the film kind of talks about that, where Pitt, he doesn't really fit in, but it's not because he's a broken piece. It's because this system is broken and doesn't allow him to be himself. So like we talked a lot about that and how to construct Pitt in that way, to show that like at school he's not dumb, like, and even in the film, like the character that's my character, he calls him like a retard at one point. And like, and then the mom slaps him and it's like says he's not a retard. Like, it's just he has a different way of seeing things. So the film kind of talks about that, and how Pitt doesn't fit in, but he still has great ideas, he's still very creative, he's a human being. So yeah, in that sense, it talks about building a more inclusive educational environment, for example, and not only at school, but also at home, with your
Hmm.
family members. and society in general.
Yes, because I kind of have some work in this area also. And I always say that once you have somebody with some kind of disability in the family, it's not a person with a disability that it's born, it's a family, because everybody needs to understand. Nobody's ready for that. So the
Yeah,
family needs to learn that, to adapt to that. And then you have a situation like this where, of course, you and your brother, you adapted to that, you learn with that, and you made out a film out of this experience in your life.
yeah,
And another thing together that comes with me about this is that you have this sense of what is normal, what is not normal in society. And then we are not only talking about disabilities, but of course, many other things in society that you
yeah,
come and bring it to a film, and we have the opportunity to think about it. You're 23 years old filmmaker, very young filmmaker, with this powerful message. Is this your path? You want to talk about that in your with your work? Tell me a little bit how you see this moment in your career and your filmmaking.
yeah. I really agree with you, because I think as filmmakers, like as storytellers, we have to be really concerned with how we depict things and what stories we're telling, and making sure that we're paying our respects to like the reality of things, and of people, like, because in this case we were creating a character that we were depicting, in theory, my brother and I, so it was very personal, and in a sense, like, it got to a point where we were discussing that, and we had that click where we were like, yeah, we need to put ourselves into this. So, for example, in Lucas, the character of Lucas, like, he's a very flawed character, because he basically he disowns his brother. Like, at the scene in the street, he says he doesn't know him, and he doesn't care about his brother, and he thinks he's dumb, and like he just wants he's really he just cares about himself. And like, I had to be really honest with myself, and like looking back at the past, to realize that I was that person. So I think what I'm trying to say is, when we're telling stories, we have to be honest also with ourselves, to truly, like, instead of just pointing our fingers, like, look at ourselves and be able to be, analyze yourself and be like, what can I change, and like, and how can I use this story to maybe help someone else. So, like, with this film specifically, for me, it was, we had like some great conversations about that, because in the end we were like, okay, let's put ourselves on screen, but if we're going to put ourselves on screen, we're also going to have to, like, show the bad side, and like that's where the conflict comes from. It's from two brothers that, like, one of them doesn't really care and doesn't understand the other, and that has consequences. So yeah, relating that to like how I feel about film and like the things I want to do is, I think I learned that if you want to make work that connects with people, you have to be honest, even if it means being vulnerable, and saying something maybe about yourself that you don't think is so nice, and is flawed. So, that's how I see it. And I think it's what you talked about. Like, I feel like that's kind of a healing process, because then by making the film and like even like discussing with the actors, like, you start to heal and you start to understand and look at things differently. So yeah, I believe you have to really put yourself out there to like do something honest.
That's great. That's great. And this, I think this is so we can when we watch the film, we feel this power. It's not that it's something happening from fiction. I think you have
Yeah,
this comes to the eyes of whoever watches the film. And then you have, okay, the writing, you and your brother, it's great, congratulations, but it's just writing. Then you
yeah.
make a film, and then you work with Pedro Henrique Lima and Mateus Guerra, the two kids that play you and your brother. Like, what are they, 12 and 10, something like that?
Yeah,
By
about
the
I think Mateo's, at the time, he was maybe 12 or 13, but Pe was 10. Yeah.
and then directing. kids directing two boys, 13 and 10, around that, and and what a great acting. Whoever is going to watch the movie is going to see that. So you were able to write a good movie and direct kids. Tell me a little bit about how this happened, how powerful this moment was for
Yeah,
you and for the.
so working with kids, I think is it's really interesting because I think Pe, Pe is the name of the movie, but the actor who played Pe, his name was also Pe, like just by coincidence. So even the title came a bit from that because on set we'd call him Pe, and like it just became like the film kind of. Uh, and Pe and Mateos are so talented. Like they were so focused and like they knew all their lines like by heart, and they wouldn't skip a beat. They knew everything about their characters. And what I think is really cool about working with kids is you notice how intuitive they are, because sometimes when you're working with like adult actors, it depends on like their methods. Obviously, like some actors like to kind of get into the head of the character and like motivations and stuff. Others, there's different approaches. But what was really cool about like working with Pe and Mateos was that they were really intuitive. Like all we would do really like was just kind of talk about the scenes. Like I felt like my job was just making them understand the scene, like because I wouldn't like get into the nitty gritty and like direct little details about them because they were so great. They really embodied the characters. So that was, for me, it was amazing because they were so well prepared that on set it was just like, look, this is the scene, this is what's happening, do it, and they do it, and it'd be great. Like so, it was a huge pleasure working with them, and I learned a lot from them. And also, the mom is played by Letícia Sobral, and she just also has a great connection with the actors and with the film and with the message. It was just on the actor front, it was amazing. It was relatively simple, even I'd say, because they were so focused and great. But of course, like filming, like just there's a lot of difficulties. You have to do a lot of takes, and so that gets kind of hard. But they were always 100%. It was great.
Great. And how is Pe doing out there? Festivals, the screenings, how is it going?
Yeah, it's going pretty well. The film, let me get the list here just so I remember. But the film got into the Los Angeles Brazilian Film Festival, which is, I think it's the biggest Brazilian festival outside of Brazil.
Hmm.
Uh, and and yeah, like it's been a pretty good run. We also got into the Caminhos Festival in Portugal, which was really cool. It has a big tradition. It's been around for years, so we were very happy with the selection. But of course, we weren't able to go because we were in quarantine. And let me see which else. We also got into the Euro Shorts Festival and La da Câmara, which is in Czech Republic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got into a few film festivals, and it was a pretty good run. And there's still some festivals to come, and of course this festival too, which was really cool. And by the
Yeah,
way,
we were lucky to have your
congrats on the
film here
festival.
with
And
PIF. Yeah,
yeah,
Prague
but yeah, we're
International Indie.
still awaiting some responses and stuff. But people are reacting pretty well, and eventually we also want to release it online so people can see openly.
That's great. And Patrick, what's happening next in your career, in your life, about your filmmaking and your projects?
Yeah, so I've been, since, just kind of like to give some background, I've been working at a production company in Brazil for a few years, which is called Spray Filmes. So I actually got there because my first short film, I was in high school actually when I made my first short film. It was kind of, I studied at a Waldorf school, and like in the last year, they have, I don't know if, do you know Waldorf school kind of yeah, they in the last year they kind of have like they call it a thesis project where you can do anything you want. So I decided I love film. I said, oh, I'm gonna make a short film. So I adapted a short story by a Brazilian writer and then filmed it and stuff. I got into festivals, and that kind of opened a lot of doors for me, which was when I met my future boss, because he went to one of the exhibitions of this film, and he was director at Spray Filmes and the owner of Spray Filmes. So then he invited me to do an interview with him, work with him. And so I've been on this journey with him and Spray for about 5 years now. It was even before I got into college, into film school. So I started out as an intern working for him, and eventually, I think it's cool because his name is Fernando Grosstein Andrade. He's a Brazilian director, and we had this relationship where he was really a mentor to me. So we had this mentor apprentice kind of relationship thing, and it was great because he would also open doors for me and give me opportunities. Let's say he was directing something, then he said, oh Patrick, like grab the camera and like film, like I don't know, like do a B camera or a C camera, and I would just grab these opportunities and just do my best, like even though I was starting out. But it was great because eventually I started gaining more responsibility, directing bigger things. So for example, Fernando, he directed a film that's called Abe. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it went to a few festivals. It premiered at the Sundance Film Festival, so we got to go there. It was amazing. But what I was gonna say is that during the filming of Abe, which by the way, it stars Noah Schnapp from Stranger Things, and so Jorge, who's a great Brazilian actor. He did City of God. He did Life Aquatic with Wes Anderson and stuff, and he's amazing. And in that set, actually, he gave me the opportunity to operate a camera. So I got to learn so much just by doing a C camera. There was B camera, A camera, and I was just grabbing little shots, grabbing details and stuff. And a lot of the things I ended up filming got into the final cut. So, it was just a huge learning experience for me. And eventually I kind of graduated from operating camera and I became the second unit director of this film. So I was responsible for all of the food shots. So we'd have some days where like the entire day we would just film food shots with like a food stylist and stuff because the film is about cooking, and it's an important part. So it was such a great experience for me, and that was like a step towards what I want to do, which is to direct feature films, my own feature films. So I've been working with him and at this production company for a few years now, and I directed a few television episodes of a documentary series here in Brazil too, which is called Quebrando Tabu, but I don't know if people are gonna know about it.
Yes.
And yeah, so my next steps now are, I kind of want to continue in this path. I have another documentary series I'm gonna be directing this year, so it's gonna be released at the end of the year. And I have plans of just, I'm also finishing school, like film school. So I'm doing my thesis film, my short film that I'm gonna direct. I'm gonna co-direct with another person. Her name is Gabi Oliveira. So yeah, I kind of got this documentary series, and then I have my thesis film, and also eventually I want to start working on a feature script or something to try and start developing my first feature. That's kind of my like where I want to get to, but it takes a lot of work and time, so I'm patient and just doing everything
Right.
I can so I can get there eventually.
Yeah, I talked with many filmmakers, and there are many ways to enter this world, but you are a photography person, right? You were born with a
Yeah,
camera in your hand, and from there you write and you do everything else. But your thing is the camera in your hand. That's what your heart
yeah.
beats, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like since I was a kid, I always had, like you said, I've always had a camera in my hand. So I'm very, I care a lot about like just the whole visual aspect of filmmaking. Even I have the photographers were Julia Takamori and Edu Tekatz, and they are so great. But they had to kind of uh, how would I explain it? They had to deal with me because like I always want to get in, I always want to be
Give me that.
saying what I want in terms of the cinematography, and they're like, Patrick, okay, we're gonna do this, but just like, you don't need to tell us like exactly how to do it. Let us do it, and then be the director, not the cinematographer. So I'm like, okay, and like they're right, but I kind of of struggle with that because I really like being hands on with the camera and stuff. But yeah, I feel like, it's since I've had the camera in my hand for a long time, the natural thing for me is more of the visual aspect together with the narrative. And that's kind of what I want to do. It's 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 the way I found of kind of getting into the market in a way, because I feel like, you know, if you look at how I kind of started working, and of course, when you look at things in the past, your site is 2020, right? Like you notice the patterns and stuff. While you're in it, you're not sure of how things work. But when I look back now, it's cool because I see that because of this reason, that like I always had a camera in my hand, and like my dad was always explaining things to me and like how to do things. Like that was one of the reasons I did my film when I was in high school. And if I hadn't made that film, I wouldn't have gotten my job, and I probably. So you see how things are connected, and I'm just like really grateful for having the privilege and the opportunity to have had a camera in my hand and like be able to learn about those things, and just take advantage of those things to start telling my own stories.
Yeah, that's great. Hope you have camera in your hands for a long time with many films,
Thanks.
so we can watch that amazing stories you have to tell. Patrick Hanser, thank you very much for being with us this interview or sharing your story. Is there anything you would like to tell? Of course, we have many another young filmmakers, first time filmmakers, not so young, and that you can say, hey, come on, make your film, put it in
Yeah, yeah.
festivals. Go ahead. Can you say something about that?
Yeah, I really believe, you know, uh, I feel like a lot of times people get caught up in because making films is hard, like, and it takes money. Like, for if you want to do certain things, you need certain resources and like the camera, the lens, and a lot of things. And I used to get really caught up in that. But the more, I mean, I'm young, like you said, like I'm not, I don't know anything. I'm learning. I'm always learning. But what I've learned through my process, like in the few films I did, was that like, you don't need to get so caught up in those things. Like what really matters to me is the story. So if you have a story you believe in, and if you put yourself in it and you're vulnerable, and like it doesn't need to be about you, but just be like really open about it, and just not have the fear of putting yourself out there. Like I think that's the number one thing, because nowadays you can do amazing things with like your phone, for example. You can basically make an entire film on your phone if you want. Like you can even edit it, you can shoot it, you can write it, like you can do everything. So I think it's film has gotten more accessible in that way, and now everyone has a camera in their hands in theory. So, or almost everyone. So I guess like what's gonna differentiate your work from other people is your stories, and like and how you tell your stories. So I think if someone who's starting out or something like that, just pick up the camera and like start doing it. Because another thing I noticed is, like, for example, with people who are starting out that I've talked to as well, a lot of times you get caught up in that thing where like, oh, this film needs to be like perfect. This film needs to be good, like even though it's your first film. And like the reality of it is that your first film or your first song or your first book or your first whatever, it's probably not going to be that good, but you need to make it, because it's only after you make it that you're able to you're going to be able to learn and to make something that you actually want to make. So like my process, even my first films, like when I watch them today, I'm like, oh man, like this sucks. But like I realized I had to make those films. And even pay, like I like the film, but when you look at it, there's a lot of things that could be better. Like so, but that's natural. Like you can't get caught up in that. You have to just look forward and be like, I learned with this, and I'm gonna go to the next, because I feel like the only way you're gonna do things is if you start doing them, and you have to start somewhere. And it's probably not going to be the best, but it's going to get you on your path to learning, and I think that's what's important.
Great. All right. Very good. So, thank you very much, Patrick Hanser, director of Pay, our movie selected for our Pick of the Week number 4. Director Patrick Hanser. writer together with his brother Kevin of this wonderful movie. Congratulations again, and I hope to see you in Prague in September for Gala Awards Prague International Indie Film Festival. Thank you very much.
Yeah, for sure. We hope so too, and just want to give a shout out to the the whole team of the film. There's a lot of people, who worked, you know, to make it a reality, from producers to assistants to production design. So I just want to thank everyone, the actors, and I really want to thank you guys. It's been an honor to share your time with me and to talk. So yeah, I'm really happy and thanks so much. I hope to see you guys soon too.
Good. Like they say in Brazil. Valeu.
Valeu, tamo junto.
Tamo
Thanks,
junto.
guys.
Alright, segura aí, pô, muito legal. Very good, Patrick.
Beleza.
Very
Boa,
nice, very
gostei.
nice. Eva, are you around, Eva?
Yeah, I am here. Yeah, and
Hey,
I today I